Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you so very much for coming. I'm Professor Sandy Miller, Chairman of the Department of History and Government. I'm so pleased to see so many parents, family members, and relatives, faculty and staff come tonight to help celebrate our students and their academic achievement. And this is just one of these things we do every year. We're just so delighted that you've come. Without my speaking any further, I would like to introduce our distinguished president, Dr. McGee.
Thank you, Dr. Miller, and to all of you, I say good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to add my words of welcome to those of you who are visiting the campus for this very special event this afternoon. I'd like to first congratulate Dr. Miller and the faculty in the Department of History and Government. In addition to taking their work very seriously and taking the privilege and the responsibility of working with our students in a very, very conscientious way, they go above and beyond, I think, by taking the time to plan events like this which recognize student academic achievement. And that is simply outstanding. I want to give them kudos for that and to say, good job, colleagues, well done. And now I'd like to congratulate the students who are being honored this evening. This is outstanding. We are a university, we're an academic community. Our intent is to aid in your intellectual growth and development. And the fact that you are being singled out for recognition this evening is evidence that you are doing a good job and that you are growing and developing in the intended ways. I'd further like to suggest to you that your recognition this evening through the awards that you will receive, you should view as a signal honor. Now, what do I mean by that? That's something that first struck me when I was an undergraduate student many years ago. I had received an award at my undergraduate institution, and my department chairman wrote me a note congratulating me, and he said that this is a signal honor. And I didn't quite grasp the significance of it, but what I'm saying to you this evening is that it marks you as being very special people. It says that you have demonstrated your ability to excel, to succeed, and so by doing that, you have set the expectations for similar achievement in the future. We expect you to do great things, and we will look to see that you do that. And so your recognition this evening is just further indication of the potential that you have. Congratulations to you. I'm glad to be here to be part of this celebration of your achievement.
We want to thank Dr. Burnham for those excellent remarks. I say this every year, not to stroke Dr. Burnham, but it's so true. So oftentimes, the only time parents get to see the president of the institution is at commencement. But Dr. Burnham is a hands-on president. He comes, he's on the campus all the time when he's not traveling, representing the university, and he comes to the events quite often for almost all the academic areas. And if his calendar is free, he's never missed one of these for me. And so I really have to say thank you again. I'm going to do something different tonight, taking chairman's privilege. We have the most fabulous First Lady, Dr. Ms. LaVera Burnham. Would you please stand? And as you can see, she's one of the sharpest dresses on campus. And I said we always introduce Mrs. Burnham. We never ask her to speak to our parents and students. Tonight, I'm asking Mrs. Burnham to come and address our students and parents. It's our First Lady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for taking the chair's prerogative. Good evening to our parents and to our students and guests to Bowie State University. I'm joined Dr. Burnham, President Burnham, in offering words of congratulations to Chairman Miller and the Department of History and Government, and also to those students who will be recognized this evening. We are very proud of you, and we do expect great things of you. But we also want you to expect great things of yourselves, because now, not only do we know, all of your colleagues in college know, all of your friends know, so they will be looking to you also to be the academic leader. So continue to do well, grow, read, and take yourselves and your education seriously. Congratulations, and thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Burnham. What all great leaders always have great teams. I would like all the members of the President's Cabinet to please stand where you are so you can be acknowledged. There are two of them in the rear. There's the President's Chief of Staff, Mrs. Tammy Thomas, and Dr. Richard Lucas, Vice President for Development, who's one of our parents, whose son will be honored tonight as well. Has the Provost arrived?
Yes.
Would our Chief Academic Officer please come forward? Would our Chief Academic Officer and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Weldon Jackson.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
One of the most important mentors in my life would always utter these words about another institution. There is an air of expectancy, and in this case, I'll say Bowie State University. It is expected, Richard Lucas III, that when you enter Bowie State University, you will do great things. That expectation is even higher once you bear the insignia of Bowie State University. As a Chief Academic Officer of this place, I believe it's very important to highlight the scholastic achievements of Bowie State University. All great institutions of higher learning are ultimately defined by their alumni. Their legacy depends on their ability to produce graduates who go on to make notable achievements locally, nationally, and in some cases internationally. While the students we honor tonight have not reached the international goal, in a couple of respects they have. Heard that one person has gone worldwide. I think it's important to acknowledge the positive steps that they're making in laying the foundation for great things to come. I want to thank Dr. Miller and the entire faculty and staff of the History Department, History Government Department, for organizing this event. I congratulate the recipients of today's honors. Many of you don't know, but I have an appointment in the Department of History and Government. So on occasion, Dr. Miller is also my boss. I look around the room and I see Fred Mills, who was on the Provost Search Committee that interviewed me back 2012, Fred, out at the Marriott Airport. There was asking probing questions. And I've sat in on some of Fred's lectures, and he's still asking those probing questions. Setting the bar high for the likes of the students that I see in this room. I can't remember this young man's name, but he remembers me all the time. He always speaks on campus. And I know that he's a high achiever in history and government. Highest achiever.
Highest.
Dr. George Stosha, a unique person in many respects, who's committed to this place in ways that you really can't tell. And others and others and others. Thank you so much, students, for what you do. This is your night. Enjoy it. Celebrate it. But just look at it as one more step along the way. We celebrate your achievements. We honor those who organize this event. Thank you and welcome to Bulldog Nation.
Dr. Jackson, thank you so very much. The next person is the chief of our college, the College of Arts and Sciences, a distinguished scholar in his own right, published over 20 books that are used worldwide, many, many articles. He's always speaking sometime. When I looked at Sammy cover for me, I'm going to Nigeria, I'm going to Europe, I'm all over the place. None other than our distinguished Dean, Dr. Georgia Qua.
Well, good afternoon, parents and students.
Good afternoon.
This morning I had the distinguished honor of being recognized for 5 years of service here at Bowie State. And the 5 years that I've been here, one of the things that I've loved doing is to celebrate excellence. Because we expect you to be excellent as students. We expect ourselves to be excellent as faculty, as administrators. And once you celebrate somebody for achieving, you give the impetus for the one to go on to achieve some more. So I love to celebrate excellence, and I want to do it in a way that I don't apologize for. I put all the steps to make it as grand as possible because I value those I am celebrating. And I have oversight of 8 departments. But of the 8 departments, the one department that stands out in terms of celebrating excellence is the History and Government Department. And therefore, I look forward to coming to this event every year. Because again, I love to see the students smile when they receive their awards and their diplomas for being selected as outstanding students or outstanding scholars in their own rights. So again, I congratulate Chairman Miller and the Faculty of History and Government for the way that they really pursue scholarship. One of the things that we try to do very well in our college is scholarship, because we believe that when the faculty pursue scholarship, they are able to bring in grants, they are able to bring in other resources, they are able to mentor students, and the students are also able to follow in their steps. And in doing so, the quality of the students' experience is heightened. We are able to promote, closing the achievement gap because the students are becoming much more attuned to their pursuits in academics. So in fact, we want to promote scholarship in arts and sciences. And again, like I said, the History and Government is noted for being one of the departments. Perhaps, in the whole of arts and sciences, they rank among the top in producing faculty who are scholars. And therefore, if you look in your program, you will see that there are many awards. We are going to have the Arts and Sciences Celebration of Excellence on May the 6th. But again, you can see they've listed those who receive who are going to be receiving the awards. When we have the college awards ceremony, and in fact, you can see that History and Government really has taken quite a big chunk of the awards, and they are also receiving the Department of the Year. And it's not just for nothing; it's because they really are truly excellent. So I deeply appreciate what they do for arts and sciences. But just one word for the students as well. Again, I say this almost every year that I have a chance to speak to History and Government. And I say that once you receive this award, once you are noted for being a scholar, just like the President said, I'm saying it differently, you are tattooed for life. You cannot erase it. All your shall I say silly ways, all those slacking ways are over. When I see you, I see a scholar. And excellence is not a destination. Excellence is what? It's progressive. So, you excel at this level. Next time I see you, I want you to excel at a higher level. You have to keep challenging yourself. So parents, don't let your kids slack off. Push them and tell them that the dean says you are supposed to be excellent. So what you did this year, won't fly for next year. You have to do something more. So again, I mean, I'm so proud of you, and again, I mean, be proud of yourselves. You are a select group of people, and you have really done yourself proud, and you've done your department proud, your college proud, and BSU proud. Thank you very much.
Would the members of the faculty of the Department of History and Government please stand wherever you are. On the first row, we have Dr. George Soshin, Associate Professor of History, Dr. Frederick Mills, Professor of Philosophy, Dr. Tibor Solomosi, Lecturer in Philosophy, Dr. Paul Easterling, Lecturer in Philosophy. At the camera is Dr. Tamara Brown, pink. Dr. Sakani Brown, who will be introducing our speaker. Dr. Karen Cook-Bill, Assistant Professor of History. Dr. Robert Burke, Assistant Professor of Philosophy. Reverend Dr. William Lewis, Professor of Politics and Religion. Dr. Benjamin Arad, Professor of Philosophy and Government. Dr. David L. Reed, Assistant Professor of History. Did I miss anyone? Thank you so much, faculty. Also coming in from the President's Cabinet, Mr. Wayne Rose, our Director of DIT. Mr. Rose, please hold your hand up so people can see who you are. There are some other faculty who are not in my department and retired staff I see who are big friends of the History Department. Would the other faculty, staff, please stand. Ms. Aurora Burke, who just retired. Monica Gross, Director of the Honors College. Are you our University Archivist?
Yes.
Yes, our University Archivist. Would you please? Now, I would like all the significant others and family members of our honorees, would you please stay in family? Wherever you are, all the family. Thank you so very much. Dr. Brown, please, our occasion.
Hello, I'm Dr. Tamara L. Brown. I'm an associate professor in the Department of History and Government. And this really is Dr. Robertson's program, but he had a family engagement this evening, so I am standing in his place. The Department of History and Government contributes to Bowie State University's major mission as a regional comprehensive liberal arts university. In that essence, we offer obviously bachelor's degrees in history and in government. We also offer several minor degrees in geography, in history, in government, in pre-law, and in women's studies. The department provides an atmosphere that promotes intellectual development, scholarship, and critical thinking for its diverse group of students. Students who major in history or government have the opportunity to experience the responsibilities and rewards of leadership. This combination of learning and personal challenge enables the graduates to face the demands of an ever-changing world in the 21st century with confidence and authority. We have 122 combined majors and minors in the department. Out of that number, we have 61 government majors and 48 history majors. Students maintain an average GPA of a 2.75. Now, I'm on the history side on this one. Unfortunately, our GPA has dropped some history students. We have to get that up. Overall, our GPA is a 2.74, while the government students' GPA has surpassed us this year with a 2.77. Currently, the department has one of the highest graduation and retention rates of all the departments on campus, and we're very proud of that. Thank you for coming this evening to honor our high achievers. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Introducing our speaker is one of my newest hires, Dr. Sakani Brown, PhD from UCLA, formerly of Duquesne University. He brought one of his mentors from UCLA to speak to us, Dr. Sakani Brown.
Good afternoon, good evening, and I'll be brief. I'm going to introduce our speaker, but first I wanted to introduce our speaker's better half, who has accompanied him here this evening. Scholar in her own right. I think she's hiding behind her I've known both of these great individuals for about 20 years now. I was thinking half my life I've known you. In part, my decision to be a teacher was inspired by our speaker this evening. I'm not going to be long at all in terms of my introduction of him. You have a biography of him in your program, second to last page or so. That gives you plenty of information. In general, though, I came across this speaker in about 1993, 1994, and was kind of captivated by his teaching and commitment to the dual missions of high academic achievement and social justice. For him, both of the two come together. And that was something that was really important to me as a young student, and really shaped my decision to continue my education at UCLA initially, and then to become an educator at the college level myself. He has a long and interesting history. He has published 8 books, more than 100 articles. If you get on Amazon, grab one, especially the fairly recent memoir. It's a great story about his own background as an activist and intellectual and teacher, educator. And again, that's sort of what he's going to be talking about today in recognizing our students and their achievement. This dual mission of academic achievement and excellence and a commitment to social justice. He's going to give you some historical examples of that within the African American sort of intellectual and activist community. So I'd like you to welcome Professor Paul Von Blum, Senior Lecturer of African American Studies at UCLA.
Thank you very much. I am absolutely delighted to be here. You see that I don't need a microphone. I have taught for 46 years. I have a huge mouth. And if I use a microphone, I would run the risk of breaking out people's eardrums, and I absolutely don't want to do that here at Bowie State. I'm extraordinarily pleased to be here, especially because it's an absolute honor to be able to speak at the invitation of a former student. I've been teaching now for 46 years, and it's been a rare pleasure to be able to speak the invitation of a number of my former students. But it's a special pleasure to be here at Bowie State, and I have said it properly. I was corrected at Union Station when I said I wanted a round-trip ticket to Bowie State. And they looked at me very severely, and they said, Bowie State, and I now know. And I will know this, I will know this for the remainder of my life. Take it seriously. But I hope that I bring something to the table here. I've been teaching for a very long time. I have been teaching in the Honors College at UCLA. I am the senior faculty member in the College of Honors, so I want to offer my own congratulations to the honors graduates here at Bowie State. I take honors education very seriously, but there's something else that I take very seriously. I am a faculty member in African American Studies, and African American Studies has a long history born of struggle. In 1969, as a young faculty member at Berkeley, we fought on the streets to create black studies. It didn't just happen. We had to struggle for it. Just like we struggled against segregation. I was one of those kids who went to the South. I was a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. I fought on the streets in the sit-ins. Last summer, when my wife and I visited the exhibition in the National History Museum at the Smithsonian, I pointed out where I was sitting at the March on Washington, and I told the people around me that I was not on a 2-hour leave from a geriatric ward. This is a lifetime commitment. I am still at it, and I intend to continue to be at it, because this is a struggle we do. So I've been involved in African American Studies, and I have a long personal relationship with HBCUs. We're involved at UCLA in a program that invites students from HBCUs. I have spoken at many HBCUs, so I hope I bring something today to the table here. What I want to do is to talk about academic excellence and social commitment through the eyes and through the experience of three very important figures in African American history. Two of these people are names I think that all of you will know. The three people about whom I'm going to speak are Paul Robeson, Thurgood Marshall, and my late and good friend, an artist in Los Angeles, Barnett Honeywood. Each one of these men and women had a strong connection to HBCUs, and each one of them exemplified the commitment to both academic excellence and to the broader focus of social justice. And let me talk very briefly about all of them. I will start with Paul Robeson, because it was Paul Robeson who launched me not only into my academic career, but into my own personal commitment. I started the first class more than 25 years ago, the first class ever in a university on the life and times of Paul Robeson. And I'll never forget, they said, "Can you do an entire course, 10-week quarter on Paul Robeson?" I said, "Of course not. I can't possibly cover that life in 10 weeks. I couldn't cover it in 20 weeks. I couldn't cover it in 30 weeks. Just a few months ago, I published my book on Paul Robeson because I thought it needed to be out there. But I think many of you know his life. He was born in New Jersey. His father was an escaped slave who went to Lincoln University, an HBCU, and he gave his son Paul an enduring commitment to two things. One, to academic excellence, and two, never ever abandon a vision of moral integrity. Never ever abandon that. And Paul Robeson lived that throughout the entirety of his life. And I think many of you know some of the outlines of his magnificent career. The greatest Renaissance person in American history, ever. Some of you, I think, know that he was one of the greatest athletes. At Rutgers University, he won 14 letters. He was one of the great football players. Not only that, he actually played pro football for a couple of years while he was in law school. But he played basketball. He played baseball. He was on the track team. He was remarkable. But for all of that excellence, he always understood that his academic work was of paramount significance. His academic life was far more important. As a junior, he was elected to Phi Beta Kappa. He always understood that the primary focus of his undergraduate career was academic and intellectual excellence. I'm trying my very best to convince my African American and other athletes at UCLA that they should emulate Paul Robeson's extraordinary commitment to academic excellence. What else did Paul Robeson do? He became a lawyer. He went to Columbia Law School. I have a marvelous time in my Robeson course. I have a graduating class picture of the Columbia Law School graduating class in 1924. And I hold it up and I say, "Who can find Paul Robeson?" It is an extremely easy task. Extremely easy. And he spent a little bit of time as a lawyer until he encountered the viciously racist character of legal practice in the 1920s. And he finally left. And I've been extraordinarily fortunate. I've written large numbers of books and articles, but I wrote the single best line in my entire academic life in my chapter on his legal life. I wrote, "He left the law, and the law's loss was the world's gain," because he became one of the great theatrical performers. He starred in Othello and changed and increased our understanding of Shakespeare's great tragedy. He became one of the first African-American film stars, starring in 12 different films. He became one of the most superb singers If you've heard Robeson's voice, you'll never, ever forget it. And I think above all, he became a social and political activist in every area. He fought for everything. In the United States, he fought for his own people. He struggled, for example, to integrate Major League Baseball several years before Jackie Robinson became a member of the Brooklyn Dodgers. He fought for FEPC, the Fair Employment Practices Commission. He fought strenuously against the scourge of lynching. And he fought internationally against colonialism in Africa. And in the 1950s, brutally and savagely, he was blacklisted and written out of American history. One of the continuing tragedies. I've been fortunate in doing my very best to bring him back into the arena of public discourse. We are making some progress, but we have a long way to go. So Robeson needs much greater recognition. The second person about whom I would like to briefly talk is somebody that you all know because we are sitting in the library called the Thurgood Marshall Library. I was trained myself originally as a lawyer, and so I know about Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall is one of the great legal giants. He also is a graduate of Howard University, one of the major HBCUs. He wanted actually to go to the University of Maryland, the law school, but there was a reason he could not. They would not accept African American students. So he went to Howard and he studied with another giant figure of African American law, Charles Houston. And together, Houston and Marshall created the strategy that broke the back of legal segregation. They worked collaboratively to get rid of housing segregation, to get rid of segregation in higher education. I know the cases. I teach the cases in one of my classes. And above all, the landmark case of Brown versus Board of Education, that extraordinary landmark case of May 17th, 1954, which is iconic in its significance. But Thurgood Marshall used his excellence, like Paul Robeson, to combine that intellectual view with a vision of social and legal justice. And he did it throughout his entire life. Not only as a lawyer, but as Solicitor General of the United States, and later as one of the most distinguished members of the United States Supreme Court. A man of towering intellect and towering progressive vision on the court. We will never, ever see anybody like him again, it seems to me. But somebody for whom a vision of social justice, and not only for black people, but for all people, pervaded all of his legal decisions throughout a magnificent career. The last person I want to talk about is somebody you probably don't know because she was from Los Angeles. But I've had the extraordinary pleasure of writing about African American art. That is my major academic specialty. I write a lot about the visual arts. I like it. I write about African American art because I like the artists and I like the art. Tomorrow, I'm going to spend some time at the University of Maryland at the Driscoll Center, where I know people, where I've had a lot of contact, because that's a major center for African American visual art, which is what I've written about in great detail. One of the people I want to talk about is my late friend, Varnette Honeywood. She was a graduate of Spelman, another very major African American college. And when she left Spelman, she came back to her hometown of Los Angeles, and she decided to combine her visual art with a deeper social vision. What she did is this. She used her art to portray images of dignity of her fellow African Americans. And think about how important that is, because for so many decades, American visual art has portrayed black people in horrifically racist, stereotypical ways. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. And it still continues. And Varnette and many of her colleagues used her considerable artistic talent to offer an alternative that combined technical excellence with a deeper moral and social and political vision that elevated her, in my judgment, to the very top ranks of American visual artists. Her death a couple of years ago at the the early age of 50 or 52 was a major tragedy in American visual art. But she left a legacy. What I want to do is to offer some broader conclusions. All of these people, and indeed hundreds of others, have done something that all of you can do. They accepted the challenge that my distinguished colleagues have already told you this evening about the value of intellectual excellence. It's something that you do, and you do for an entire lifetime. It's not something that ends here with your college graduation. It's something that you are going to do as young people for the next 60 or 70 years. You have an entire life. You don't have to be Robeson. You don't have to be Marshall. You don't have to be Honeywood. Whatever you do, in whatever field, whether you become lawyers or doctors or government officials or business people, you can do that and you can strive forever. But there's an additional challenge. You can use that and combine it with a deeper commitment to social change and political justice. And you know the number of challenges that we have in this world. I'm sorry to say, but I must say that racism is not dead. Racism, unfortunately, thrives. In some cases, it remains overt. In other cases, it is more subtle. It is institutional. But I see it all the time. I still, too many times, deal with the issues of racial profiling, even among my students at UCLA. I still deal with the problems of affirmative action. I'm sorry to say that 2 days ago, the Supreme Court issued another body blow against affirmative action. We're going in the wrong direction. We need to go in the other direction. We have problems with xenophobia, with hostility toward immigrants. They are human beings. We need to acknowledge them. We should not deport people. I have a student who came to the United States at 2 months old from Ecuador. I know much more about Ecuador than she does, and yet she has no papers. She's a human being. She wants to live like anybody else, and she should be afforded that opportunity. We have problems of poverty. We have problems with the unequal distribution of wealth and power. We have significant problems with the environment, global warming, pollution, and a variety of other things. We continue to have problems with sexism. Women still don't make the amount of money. We still have problems of sexual violence and sexual harassment. We have all kinds of problems. We have problems with homophobia. We need to acknowledge our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters. We could and we should go on and on. The point is this. Find your place and implement not only academic excellence, but implement that in a way that will make this world better. That's your challenge. I know you're up to it. I know you're up to it. Thank you all very much.
I said to Dr. Miller, you only got 15 minutes. He said, Dr. Miller, I'm so good, you're going to want more. Do you want more? And then when I saw the sidekick, Mrs. Von Bloom, said it one more time. And he brought his wife in. She told me, she said, I've been teaching since 1967. Wow. So we get her around the And then I told Dr. Sakani Brown, I said, I don't have a speaker. Dr. Miller, I got just the man. And you really did bring the right man. Outstanding presentation. And of course, to talk about Paul Robeson, as you know, we just had a play called Tallest Tree in the Forest, done on Paul Robeson. And of course, the great Thurgood Marshall, after whom our library is named. And Vanetta Honeywood I have her paintings in my home. I have gossip in the sanctuary. But I never knew anybody who knew about her. You're the first person to know about the great Lynette Honeywood. So, boy, you really wowed us. And thank you so much. And we want to present you a token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
This makes you an official what? Bulldog. We say Bowie State, be as what? Be as you. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Brown to come forward to announce our first set of honorees and award recipients for academic excellence. And as we call your name and certificate, I'm going to ask you to line up there so we can get our photos as well. You'll see asterisks for those students who've been inducted previously into Phi Alpha Theta, which is our History Honor Society, and then double asterisk of those for Pi Sigma Alpha, our Government Honor Society. Dr. Brown, would you be first row, and I'll hands. You can do second, sir.
Well, you'd be surprised. Okay, and I apologize in advance if I mess up anybody's name. It is not on purpose. Lucinda Ajeman. See?
And I'll bring the president of the program up.
I can pronounce this one. Emmanuel Ara. Jaleel Bennett. Crystal Brown. Stephen Cariotti. Brittany Cheney.
Move further down to the, because there's quite a few of them.
Izene Ede. Sifan Efyon. Sydney Goburn. Tanisha Hamilton. Joyce Igbignovia. Susan Igbokwe.
Start row 2.
Antoine Giles. Diamond Johnson. Jason Lewis. Christopher Lockwood. Lucas III. Tasha Martinez. Nicholas Merriman. Jamila Muhammad. Justin Nestor. Julia Niere.
She doesn't want this told, but her grandfather, was the famous president of Tanzania.
Antoine Page. Linda Pena Resto. Daja Schley. Justin Shaw. Deasia Thompson. Robert Stubblefield.
This is my biggest child.
Whitney Troop. Derek Vessels. And Edmund Walton.
With President Burnham, as Provost Jackson stood, did he leave? And Dina Quile, would you congratulate our awardee? Oh, I'm sorry, Edmund. I'm all over the photo op. And before you sit down, we're going to try to get a photo with the president and the dean. How should they do?
Scrunch together. Yeah, we need everybody together. Is that good for you? Should they be over there or in front of that screen? Well, we got to play something. You want to move over, shift over? Okay. Well, you're a professional, so.
Actually, if you stand on the chair, you can take the from the here. I'm sorry. Just for a second.
Don't fall, Dr. Raul.
You got it? You can take it from the angle. Everybody tighten up just a little bit more. It'll feel uncomfortable, but the shot will be really good. Yes. Okay. Got it?
Yeah, she can get down. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Okay.
Looking at your programs, the next award is in History of Government, the Leopold von Carter G. Woodson, named after the great German historian Leopold von Ranke, and father of Black history, Carter G. Woodson. In order for a student to get this award, they have to have 90 credits as a senior, no grade less than B in the major, and they must have a 3.75 cumulative average, almost summa cum laude. This year's awardee in history is my big child, Robert Stubblefield. Congratulations. Will his family please stand? Richard, would you stand? Richard was our awardee last year for the Von Ranke Award. If no one student in the discipline does not have a 3.75, 90 credits, and no grade less than B, we do not give the award. So there is no award in government this year. The next award is very dear to me, the Martha S. Putney Award. Wow. Dr. Putney was just buried 2 years ago at the age 92. She was the founding chair of our Department of History way back in 1970. Before that, we had the Department of Social Sciences. Dr. Putney hired me. I was her classmate. She was doing a postdoctorate, and I was not a student at Howard, I was sent to Howard to study African American history because Catholic University had no one to teach me. And she hired me on the spot at age 22. And that's 42 years ago. And I owe her everything. You'll see in the videotape clipping, she was honored by NBC and The Greatest Generation. And she's been just such a great scholar. PhD at the University of Pennsylvania, wrote many books and articles, an outstanding scholar in both European history and American history. And she just brought so much of what you see today is because of the standards that she had pervade throughout our discipline in the department, and she was just an outstanding scholar. And I owe her so much, and we're just glad to have this award named after her. So you see just a little clip so you can see about this great woman, this great African-American woman, and her great story. Dr. Brown.
Finally tonight, readers of Tom Brokaw's book, The Greatest Generation, will recognize the name Martha Putney. Her remarkable life spanned multiple generations and a large slice of American history, a history she, by the way, helped to write. Martha Putney died in December at the age of 92. Today she was laid to rest among her fellow heroes. Tom Brokaw has her story.
It is the end of a long journey for Dr. Martha Settle Putney, historian, teacher, mentor, veteran. From a small town in Pennsylvania to Arlington National Cemetery, a tiny woman with a big life. But how did she get here? The final resting place of presidents and heroes, generals and admirals. First, to escape life as a maid, she went to Howard University to get a teaching degree. But jobs for a young black woman were limited. And World War II was breaking out.
I knew before I went in that this was going to be an event that would change things. How much I didn't know. And that's one of the reasons why I went in.
Martha was commissioned as a lieutenant in the new Women's Army Corps, WACS, and trained medical technicians in the Midwest, but only in all-black outfits. The military was as segregated as civilian life, and Martha knew that would have consequences after the war.
You wouldn't have a man fighting for his life and coming out expecting to go back to dig ditches. No, a woman working as a surgical technician, coming out and going back in the kitchen again.
When the war was over, Martha got a doctorate in history from the University of Pennsylvania and set out to educate generations of young blacks beyond her classrooms at Bowie State and her alma mater, Howard.
She fully digested the fact that, you take what you're given, but, you rise above that. You don't have to be angry. You kind of just do the next thing. You just keep on going.
And today, one of those at Dr. Putney's graveside ceremonies was a man who was a beneficiary of the generation of African Americans who came home from the war to change their world.
Finally, the government started to recognize something had to change, and it was that pressure coming from the civil rights organizations and coming from all of these hundreds of thousands of African Americans who had served and said, now it's our turn to enjoy the benefits of this country.
Dr. Putney died in December at the age of 92, a historian who made history in her own determined way. Tom Brokaw, NBC News, Arlington National Cemetery.
Ordinarily, we only give this award to one person, but we decided this year to give it to two persons, one in history and one in government. You can't get this award just by having a good academic average. We look at the person's commitment to Bowie State University, their commitment to the community, and the kinds of things that they do to make our image of the university look good. So this person has to be committed to the community, to the university, and to scholarship to get this award. In history, the recipient is Tasha Martinez. That's okay, let it go. Let it all out. We can have church, amen? In government, this person used to work for me and abandoned me at the airport. He's now in D.C. government politics. He's an ANC commissioner in the District of Columbia, and he told me, Dr. Miller, I'm going to be the mayor of Washington. I pray for him every day. That's Wendell Felder in government.
So he made you come.
I would like for you to go down with the president and take a photograph. Been a while. I'm going to ask the advisors to file for theta in history. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. We had one special person who we thought also exemplified outstanding achievement to Bowie State University, but not all the other awards. This is just a special recognition going to Mr. Derek Vessels. Congratulations. With Dr. Brown again and Dr. Ara come. Dr. Brown and Dr. Ara introduce our newest inductees into the Honor Societies.
Okay, as you can see from your program, we had a Phi Alpha Theta induction in the fall. And if I could have those inductees please stand. Joyce Movia, Tasha Martinez, Sydney Goborn. And now, I finally remembered to do something at this ceremony. I've been forgetting in the past years. But if I could have my graduating Phi Alpha Theta seniors please come up, I have something for you. Your honor cords.
These are worn at commencement.
This is my Bible. Crystal's not here. Your junior, Sydney?
I graduated in December.
You can come on now. You're welcome.
Good evening. Members of Pi Sigma Alpha, candidates for initiation and induction, Bowie State University administrators and faculty, guest speaker, family members, students and friends, we bring you greetings and also welcome you to this occasion, the occasion of the History and Government Honors Day celebration of achievement and induction ceremony. We are here today for the purpose of initiating new members into the Pi Sigma Alpha, the National Political Science Honor Society. Pi Sigma Alpha was founded in 1920 at the University of Texas in Austin to encourage and also recognize superior achievement in the study of government and politics at both the undergraduate and graduate levels. With chapters numbering well over 600 and with over 7,000 students joining its ranks each year, it is still the only recognized college honor society in the discipline and is now one of the largest constituent members of the Association of College Honor Societies.
The study of politics and government is one of the noblest of academic pursuits because a deep and true understanding of the principles by which we govern ourselves contributes directly to the quality of our lives and the well-being of future generations. You have demonstrated, both by your interest in and commitment to this discipline, and by your high academic scholarship, that you have the potential to excel as citizens and scholars, and so deserve the honor of membership in Pi Sigma Alpha. With this special honor come the special obligations of leaders to exemplify and safeguard the academic aims of this university, the honesty and integrity of its scholars, and the ideals of your alma mater. You have earned membership in this illustrious society by attaining the highest standards of scholarship, not only in the discipline of political science, but in your overall academic work as well, in accordance with the rigorous criteria set forth in the National Constitution of Pi Sigma Alpha, the bylaws of Phi Upsilon Chapter at Bowie State University, and the requirements of the Association of College Honor Societies. Will the following candidates for the initiation into Pi Sigma Alpha, the National Political Science Honor Society, please come forward? Mr. Michael Crow. Ms. Tanisha Hamilton. Ms. Julia Nieri. Mr. Robert Stubblefield. Ms. Julia Muhammad in abstention. Mr. Edmond Walton. Your eligibility for membership in Pi Sigma Alpha has been vouched for by Dr. Benjamin Arra, the Phi Upsilon BSU chapter advisor. And so you all are duly invited to lifetime membership in both the national organization of Pi Sigma Alpha and this Pi Upsilon chapter at Bowie State University. By accepting this honor, you signify your acceptance of and commitment to the ideals of high scholarship, integrity, and citizenship embodied in the goals of Bowie State University and Pi Sigma Alpha.
The oath. Please repeat after me. I, then state your names.
Robert Stubblefield.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
And affirm.
And affirm.
That I will support the bylaws of the Pi Sigma Alpha.
That I will support the bylaws of the Pi Sigma Alpha.
And will faithfully.
And will faithfully.
And impartially.
And passionately.
Discharge the duties.
Discharge the duties.
And responsibilities.
And responsibilities.
Pertaining.
Pertaining.
To my membership.
To my membership.
In this National Political Science Honor Society.
In this National Political Science Honor Society.
Congratulations. Remember, you have to pay your $35 to get your official sign.
Congratulations. Thank you so very much. Our last set of awards are both faculty and students. And I'm going to ask Dean Aquino to stand with me. Every year he has a college-wide competition for excellence in the university, which involves both faculty and students. We have to write portfolios for each person who submitted. And I'm so pleased to report this year, Department of History and Government, we took 11 of the awards this year, including Department of the Year. So I'm very grateful to my colleagues and faculty for this. Among these awards, the first person to achieve the highest academic average in the College of Arts and Sciences is Robert Stubblefield. I'm going to ask these awardees to take pictures with the President and Dean as you come up. Robert has a 3.83 average.
Wow.
Our next awardee actually is going to receive 2 awards. I want his father to come up with him. Dr. Lucas, are you still here? Where's your dad? Oh. The dean also requests of each department to submit a name of person that they think is outstanding in scholarship. And we have a father and son team here. Dr. Lucas is our vice president for development and doing a fine job in that area. And his son is just representing him so well. So Richard, would you come up and get your award as our departmental scholar? And your second award, we look for some student who represents the university outside of our walls. And Richard this year won a fellowship for the Black Caucus Foundation, and he's based at George Washington University, is that right? And he's been at the Supreme Court this year, representing Bowie State, and newly minted Alpha Phi Alpha member. These candidates will be honored a second time on May 6th in a formal dinner. There's so much you can do with it. Right. This next person was my former student, former president of student government, but he now represents Bowie State at our legislature in the 24th district and is also assistant vice president. Mr. Darren Swain, would you come up? Darren, he didn't know this, but he got the award as the alumnus of the year of all the people at College Arts and Sciences. Okay, get your picture. And it's always good when you have one of your former students who's in the state legislature. And Darren, I'm assuming you make sure that Bowie State gets its budget, yes?
Yes.
The next person was also my student. I taught him way back in 1992 and sent him off to Morgan State to get his doctorate. He came back and providing outstanding advisement to our students in both in education for the whole college as well as for the department. That's Dr. David L. Reed. And Dr. Reed also was president of student government after Darren. Go and get shots.
Wow.
Yes, you.
The next colleague, like Richard Lucas, has been representing Bowie State on the international stage, particularly in Latin America, working with peasant groups and organizing freedom for democracy throughout Latin America. And every year he goes and represents Bowie State abroad. And he's an outstanding philosopher, Dr. Frederick L. Mills. Also fluent in Spanish, yes. If you're ever on the second floor near my office, you'll hear all of these sounds from the late 50s and 60s. This man loves the Ronettes. And he brought them back and has made them an item here at Bowie State. And this year he won the award for creative work on the Ronettes. Dr. George Soshi. And what people don't know about Dr. Sochi also, he's been a stage star, because when we had our production of Raising the Sun, he was in that production with our students. looking for young talent, and we were in dire need of a good, strong philosopher, and we found him in Pennsylvania. That's Dr. Tibor Solomosi. Congratulations. Dina Kwai, you have to explain what this next award is, because you got so many letters. I don't know what this is. Excited.
Okay, this one, EXCIDA, stands for Excellence, Civility, Integrity, Diversity, and Accountability. These are the core values of BSU. So every year we try to select somebody who embodies these core values.
That's Dr. Benjamin Arab. Thank you. One of the things that I always say to the faculty, instead of fighting and having debates, we should always have symposia and lyceum programs, because this is the way we exchange ideas on another level. I've had 2 faculty members this year that go above and beyond to make sure every month, sometimes twice a month, that the members of our department are sharing their excellent research with the community at large. And those 2 persons have been Dr. Benjamin Arab and Dr. Karen Cook Bell.
We have to fly around.
In fact, tomorrow, Dr. Ra has Senator Benson coming on campus. Often overlooked are our adjunct faculty who make a great contribution. I was able to snatch this young scholar. He just had gotten his PhD from the Great Rice University in Texas to help develop our program in religion, and that's Dr. Paul Easterling. Dr. Mario Fino is not here. He's on travel for us. But he celebrated his 25 years at Bowie State. So please give him. Lastly, the dean has the option of selecting people that he thinks are doing a good job. He selected me this year. Of course, I agreed. And of course, he made sure we were the Department of the Year. So I thank you.
This is the highest award offered in the college every year. So I mean, it's very, very, very special. I mean, he's really watered it down. But this is the highest award, and this is the Dean's Award that I'm giving to him as an outstanding educator. He has been in education for the past 40 years. We are not honoring him for longevity. We are honoring him for quality of service, for sustained quality of service, serving the college, serving the campus for over 40 years.
like to say for the past 2 years, I am now teaching the grandchildren of my former students.
Wow.
And this year I became a great-grandfather. I know he hates to do this, but Dr. Lewis, would you come and bless the food for us? Oh, wait, I have one another. You know, I could never survive in my office without my 2 assistants. And they've just been just terrific in terms of not only assisting me, but assisting the students and the faculty. Mrs. Carico, would you come up? You know, we say in church, we're not trying to pay you, but yes, we are. This is for my other student worker, Ms. Gleaton, Shante. Now, Reverend Dr. Lewis, would you come bless the food? It's good to have a minister on staff, yes? No plate served.
Oh, occasionally we pass in the basket. Let us pray. To God be the glory. Great things He hath done. Almighty God, we thank you for your heavenly presence here tonight. And we give you special thanks for the food that you have given to us. We pray that you will bless and sanctify them. And as we eat and enjoy ourselves, may we always be mindful that there are others who have not been so privileged. May the foods not only strengthen us, but also empower us to continue to do your work on this earth. To this we pray in your heavenly name. Amen.
Please enjoy.
No, you need we need to get Zoe sitting down.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations to you, sir.
Oh, yes, you too.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
This is my brilliant child.
Are you proud of her?
Yes.
Good. And
Okay.
are you a sister?
Okay.
How are you doing?
Oh, really?
Okay, all right. Good to meet you.
You were overcome. This is your ballerina sister. Nice to meet you.
All right. Good man is doing a great job.
Thank you. When I hear you,
Oh, that's so funny, girl. You have people crying, you know that, right? No, I didn't know. I was trying to hold that back. I'm so thank you. And I'm not surprised. You look pretty today.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, everybody's going to be on YouTube.
And it's a great today.